I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
I'm
these
a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. That's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
They told me. I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
In this economy,
they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's time to rise and grind with us right here on the SportsGrid Network. It is the early line, and we got an action-packed show for you, just like we do every single regular season day, as I like to call it, because our regular season is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on the early line. I'm Donnie Rightside, and take a look at this. He's Tom Vecchio, joining us in the morning, filling in for Joe Ranieri today. Welcome to the early show, Tom. Let's go. 2 hours, man.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll. We have a ton to get to, not just for the sports today, but a huge weekend across the sports landscape. Donnie, there's also a ton of storylines that we have to get into in terms of what we're seeing. We had some, major NFL news yesterday. We got quarterbacks being benched. We had the NBA Cup the other day. The NBA's back on. I'm ready to roll. We have a ton to get to over these next 2 hours.
You got it, Tom. We got a lot of good topics. You're right here. Now, you know me. I will slander bowl season if it ever comes up on this show. But if we remove bowl season, you got an awesome Thursday night NFL football game tonight that we're going to cover between the Seahawks and the Rams with a ton at stake. Flip it over to Friday, which is going to be a great football Friday here. You have the start of the college football playoff with Alabama and Oklahoma. Flip it then over to Saturday, Tom. More college football playoff games, a doubleheader in the NFL, and then we get to a full Sunday slate. Absolutely fantastic, Tom. Let's not waste any more time to get into the early lineup here, which starts. Hey, look at that. It's Tua Tagovailoa. He's on the bench. He's not even the backup. He's the emergency third-string quarterback. You saw their head coach say, you know what? Quarterback play just isn't good enough. Quinn Ewers, first start, coming against the Bengals. And by the way, if there ever is a first start, have it at home and have it against the Bengals.
Yeah, this is a great landing spot for Quinn Ewers. And, a lot of this comes down to not only what the Dolphins plan to do now, but this is going to directly impact what they do in the offseason. Like, if they choose to move off of Tua, we saw the tweets from Schefter yesterday, like they have to eat X amount of cap space. It's going to be dead cap over, pre-June 1st cut, whatever it might be. We know what we have from Tua. The question is, can they get anything for him in the offseason? And then with Quinn Ewers, is like, can they trust him? We know what we have with Zach Wilson, so go with Quinn Ewers. And then does this impact their draft plans, Donnie? Because if they need to be looking to draft a quarterback at the top of the draft, then we're just going to be the same old story again. What I really want to know is what they do with the rest of the offense because, I was talking to Kevin last night, and Devon Achane is a player that we'd like to lean on in this situation, but there's also a sense that he actually may not need to see the ball just because they don't want him to be injured. But they will ease off of him as the weeks go on. to close out the season, because if they're benching Tua, they might as well ease off of Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane. So the offense may just be operating inefficiently. So it's a great landing spot against the Bengals, but I just don't know how many points they're going to put up.
No, you're right about Devon Achane. We're at that point where 3 weeks to go, you probably want that full slate in for him because you want to see what Ewers has, which means you want to mix in that pass and the run. But you're right. Week 17 and week 18 in the regular season, he's not going to be getting 25 carries a game, even if it means they're going to win or lose. And the Dolphins probably would like to lose. And by the way, here's Tua talking about his benching right here.
Naturally, I'd say I'm disappointed. I think, it's normal. It's normal human emotion. But, outside of that, I got to do my part. My role here right now is to help whoever the quarterback is going to be for this team, to lead this team, help in whatever way I can, to help the team win this game on Sunday.
What did Mike say to you?
We just had a brief conversation about changing the quarterback.
What was your reaction at that point?
Disappointed. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but something out of my control.
Look, Tua signed a massive contract. There's no doubt about it. But these guys have a lot of pride. Showing up to work is when you're usually the starter. Now you're the third-string quarterback behind Quinn Ewers. That's got to hurt. Joe Burrow hints at life beyond the Bengals here. That's not a good sign. Where your quarterback's like, you know what? I'm checking out right now, Tom. Not good.
Yeah, we've seen these quotes from Joe Burrow starting over the past few weeks where he's saying, is he going to stay with the team? They're asking him if he's going to stay with the team. What is he thinking about? He says, he's thinking about football. He's thinking about life, and he's thinking about all these things, and everything plays a part. It's a difficult spot, and, he started off his career with injuries. They went to the Super Bowl, and every single season, essentially, outside of one, we're dealing with injuries for Joe Burrow. And, a lot of it comes down to, are they investing enough into the team? Are they making the right moves in the offseason? Do they have the right head coach? Do they have the right offensive line? They have great weapons. I mean, we talk about this all the time. You have 2 star receivers. You have a solid running back. You have a good tight end. You have a horrible defense, and you have a horrible offensive line. And when we see a quarterback take consistent hits year after year, a lot of people are making the metaphor that Joe Burrow is going to be the next Andrew Luck. You take 15 sacks a game, he's going to retire when he's 28 because he doesn't want to do it anymore.
One of the most expensive quarterbacks in the history of football. Here's him talking about a little 19-second clip here. Let's get to it.
Is there any world in your mind where you're not the quarterback of the Bengals next year?
I can't see that, no.
Have you ever thought about the possibility of not being the quarterback here during your career, or?
You think about a lot of things.
There you go. Joe Burrow certainly saying like, I should be back. And yes, he has a good paycheck, and maybe they'll try again and get some defensive help at this point. The Washington Nationals, Tom, hired 31-year-old Ani Kalambi as the new general manager. 31. Yeah, that's good. Hey, by the way, Ani Kalambi, in 4 years, you'll be working probably for the San Francisco Giants. What do you think about that, Tom?
I think it's the start of a new wave where there's so much baseball information, Donnie, as you and I know, that so many of these people are getting started in baseball earlier and earlier, where maybe they're interning, they're a video scout for a team, when they're in college. So they've been in a system for a decade. And you're saying, he's 31, he's young, what kind of experience he has? But he legitimately has a dozen years of experience, whether it's being a scout, whether it's being involved in team operations, assistant to AAA, GM, assistant to player operations. He may have legitimate experience, and obviously seeing the shock of the 31 years old is a bit much, but if he has the experience and the Nationals are willing to invest into it because they're not in a win-now situation, they want to grow with him as the franchise grows and all their young talent, I see no issue with it. I will say they need to be ready for growing pains. It's not going to be smooth, the team overall, him potentially making mistakes. If they're going to be willing to invest in it early, they have to weather the storm.
Take a look at this. How about maybe a Sharon Moore incident in Ohio here? Brian Smith fired. Now, they're not saying exactly what it's for, but a strongly worded firing charge from the athletic department. Seems like it was pretty bad here, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, this is just another incident across the college landscape. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be good things. It's going to be bad things for all these programs. It's going to be on-field stuff, off-field stuff, violations. Whatever charges he may face, the teams need to deal with it and they need to move on. I would say I would like to see some sort of tie-in with the NIL, where if teams face issues, that then the NCAA can remove NIL from them. So everyone has to be on their P's and Q's, and everyone's on their best behavior.
Pittsburgh Penguins have been sold here. Keep in mind, when they drafted Mario back in the 1980s, he saved the franchise. Mario then bought the franchise and saved it from bankruptcy and ended up with Sydney. Now they're getting bought out, and we'll see if they can stay in Pittsburgh. They've been trying to kick this team out of Pittsburgh for 3 decades now. We'll see if it happens. Also, Luke Weaver signs a deal with the New York Mets, but I want to skip ahead to this one, Tom. The New York Knicks, who won the NBA Cup, basically said, yeah, it's all fine and good, but NBA, this is ridiculous. We are not hanging a banner for a sham tournament. You want to talk about a left-right combination to the body and then an uppercut to the jaw for Adam Silver? This one had to hurt the NBA, where Tom, the NBA sent a sternly worded message over to the Knicks saying, how could you do this to us?
So it's interesting that the teams are not required to raise the banner. The Knicks will have a ceremony, or they will celebrate it in some capacity pregame. But, bigger things are at hand. The Knicks are a great team this year, right? So, do the ceremony, do what you're required to do. But if you're not going to if you don't have to raise banner, don't do so. And then get back to the regular season, Donnie, right? Like, these are the games starting tonight that they actually play that matters. Friday matters, and look forward to the playoffs and push towards that. Because, as you guys were talking about, like, it's great to build the camaraderie for the team, but they have bigger goals at hand.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You're supposed to be a partner with the NBA, which I laugh at. I don't think you should raise a banner for this at all, but it's kind of funny. They asked the players right after they won it, like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything right now, knowing that they didn't want to embarrass the NBA and say, no, we're not. Like, at least they wore the T-shirts and the hats. But also, if you win the NBA championship this year, on that banner, bottom right square, hey, we also won the cup. I mean, that makes sense. You can't hang a cup banner in Madison Square Garden. Stop the madness. We'll be right back. Spreadlines are on the way.
I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
I'm
these
saying
games.
I'm a fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me.
They smashed
I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
In this economy,
but they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyron Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyron Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They went all in with the Sauce Gardner trade, right? All in. Give you a couple of number 1 picks here. Then Daniel Jones breaks the leg, and then he tears the Achilles. All right, you're signing Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? I mean, by the way, you know what hasn't been talked about enough? Sam Ehlinger decided he didn't want to come play for the Colts. Why? You would have been. I know Denver activated him to the roster anyway, but he would have been maybe a starting quarterback this weekend.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Spreadlines, let's get to it today on a Thursday. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Tom Vecchio having some fun over the next 2 hours here. The first game we'll get to is a bowl game, Tom. Not tonight, but tomorrow on a Friday afternoon. We love that. But it's bowl season. It's Memphis. It's NC State. Hey, 2 names I actually recognize here, Tom, with an opening number at 4.5 and still sits at 4.5. A total of 59.5. Now sits 57.5. I'm going to tell you this, Tom. I haven't watched either one of these 2 teams play a single snap this season. So I look at the public and say, NC State only getting 40% of the tickets. I'm going NC State minus 4.5 on a blind bet here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Certainly liking not backing Memphis when we're looking at this. Donnie, they haven't won a game since October. They're giving up points left and right. So I would lean NC State. When it comes to the total, my issue would be Memphis isn't doing enough scoring, as we always talk about. Like, you need a dance partner. You need someone to do the scoring with you in order to get over that total. So NC State, I like the over, but I'm not there yet. Memphis needs to do their part if there's going to have any shot of getting to 60 points, essentially.
Now, hold on, Tom. You just told me, was it NC State that you said hasn't won a game since October?
No, Memphis hasn't won a game. I lean with NC State because Memphis is not in form right now.
All right, let's understand this. And this proves my point on bowl season. Can we please end it? You have a bowl game with a team that hasn't won a game since October. This shows how stupid bowl season is. So let's get to the next game, a real football game that matters with superstar players and big-time universities. It's Miami taking on Texas A&M. Saturday, Tom, 12 p.m. start. Local time, actually 11 a.m. at A&M. 3.5 on the opening number. 3.5 as it still sits today. Tom, I'm even seeing 50-50 action on both of these sides here. A total, though, that is dropping 51.5 to 48.5 because some windy conditions do down at Kyle Field in College Station. I'm a Miami fan, so I'm going Miami with the 3.5. But this game looks right down to the wire, and the public, they're thinking the same thing. 50-50. I love it, man.
Yeah, I would say if you have the under 51 or under 50, that's an awesome spot to have at this point, considering how much the line was moved. I would say for me, I'm going to wait to see if we get a flat 3 with this. I don't expect it to move another full number to go down to 2.5, because at that point, I would certainly look to back the Aggies at home. If you're getting the 3 in the hook, I would look to go to Miami at this point, right? The line is dropping and we're still getting over a key number. That's where I'd look. But man, if we get another 49.5, that's really where I want to jump in at most, is taking the under.
How about this next game, Tom, we're going to talk about in the NFL? This is what we love. And also, kudos to the NFL a couple years ago, Tom, saying, you know what, we're going to put some of these divisional games late in the season where they actually mean something. What a monster game. Tampa Bay is going on the road to take on Carolina Sunday at 1 o'clock. That opening number, at least at FanDuel, Tom, was 2.5. It's moved to 3 across the board. But if we look at the ticket counts here, more ticket counts coming in on Carolina, a total of 44.5 up to 45.5. Last week, you saw both of these teams with a lot on the line. Came up a little bit lame, which includes Carolina going to New Orleans and losing the Shuck at quarterback. Now Mayfield, with his weapons, maybe even getting Cade Otton back this week. They're the favorite, Tom. What are you thinking here on the spread line?
I'm thinking you got to be back in the Panthers. They play well when they're an underdog. They were at home against the Rams. They win outright. They were on the road against the Packers. They win outright. When they're a favorite, as they were last week against the Saints, they lose. So anytime you can get a home team that's in a playoff spot or a playoff hunt and getting points, I certainly don't mind backing. And it's not as if the Bucs are leaps and bounds better than the Panthers. Like, the Bucs may be the better team on paper and have the better quarterback and the better weapons top to bottom, but they're just not in form right now. They are not winning games. They're not winning games that they are supposed to win. So I would take the Bucs blindly, but saying, oh, they're the better team, you're getting one on the field goal. But I think the Panthers are the right side to be on. Give me a home team as the dog.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested to see, because you're right. When most people just see those two teams line up, go, give me Baker Mayfield and that offense, but you look at their schedule and how they perform, the Bucs hasn't been too good here. Terrible. Let's find out on Sunday who's going to take control of the NFC South. Let's take a look at a key game here. Indianapolis looking to still make the playoffs, sort of on a slide. San Francisco having a great year, but it is counter to what their actual schedule is of how good this team actually is. But Tom, this opened up -5.5. Now sits at 6.5. Road favorite for San Francisco. Total 46.5. I have trouble handicapping this game because of what I saw last week. Phillip Rivers can't play quarterback, but he's very cerebral. He can't throw the football, but now he's at home in a dome. He can't throw the football, but last week he's going up against Seattle, one of the better defenses in the NFL. Now he gets one defense that actually can't rush the passer. So I'm sort of conflicted here, Tom. Your input on San Francisco and Indianapolis, is it still, we're going to control the ground game, try to win with our defense and special teams, but if San Francisco can get a lead at any point in this game, it's going to have to change that game plan for the Colts, no?
Yeah, so that latter point that you're making is the thing I'd be the most concerned about. If San Fran jumps out 14-3, 17-7, that's where I'm really concerned with the Colts, right? Where I think, yes, it has to be a big Jonathan Taylor game, as we saw last Sunday against Seattle, and they want to kind of keep things close to the vest. If it can stay in a one-score game and it's a neutral game script for the Colts, that's where I think they will be fine. But as soon as it breaks out of that, I'm not sure that there's enough. I don't want to say talent, because we know Warren's great. We know Michael Pittman's great, Jonathan Taylor, all these options that they have, Downs and Pierce, all these guys. But I'm not sure that Rivers can effectively get the ball down to them so they can string together multiple touchdown drives. So if San Francisco is up 17-3, it is full red alert, and I think they will cover by 10 plus at that point.
And again, it's because if you can get a perfect game script, you can probably get Phillip Rivers over 150 yards passing. But last week was the absolute perfect game plan for the Colts. They probably should have won the game. Grupe hits a 60-yarder, but your defense doesn't get a stop. It's like, wow, they played it perfectly. Again, as Tom points out, if they're down a touchdown, it almost completely changes the way they have to play, because they want to go 3 yards in a cloud of dust, wait this out, 16-14 final if they can. I don't know if they can do it here. NBA action tonight, Tom, the Clippers and the Thunder. You might have thought before the season, this is going to be a great basketball game. 17.5 is that price point as a favorite towards the Thunder throughout the marketplace. A total of 220.5. The Clippers, who can't even get guys to show up, Tom, to Halloween parties, look like they can't even get guys to show up to games at this point now. What's your spread line in this one? 18. Ouch.
I would say it's got to be the Thunder, and more importantly, it would be the Thunder on their team total. Donnie, the Thunder are booked at minus 105 on December 18th to win the NBA championship. Minus 105 to win the NBA championship, which is not going to be done for 6 months. Absolutely crazy. So it's always the Thunder. I'm never stepping in front of this train of a team, and their team total is more often than not the best spot to go, because if they do cover this, they're blowing out their opponents.
Incredible, too. Like, FanDuel opened up 15.5. They're now up to 17.5. Same thing with DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365. Looks like it's absolutely going to be a smoke show, depending. And again, the NBA sometimes goes weary, but the Clippers is so much hype entering into the season as a veteran team that should be able to put it together. Absolutely collapsing at this point right now. It's pretty interesting to watch. More NFL news and notes coming up next on the Early Line, right here on the SportsGrid Network.
I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to these
I'm
games.
a fan. Of course I'm not. That's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not anymore.
They told me.
They
I
smashed
told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing.
In this economy,
but they have money. I don't know. See what Kelsey says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Look, the trend continues to go to Blake Corum. He's still available. I can't believe he's still available. So if you have Kyren Williams, you got to have Blake Corum on your roster. And if you don't have Kyren Williams, I think you still want Blake Corum on your roster. You got to have these insurance policies on your roster at the very least. Even in a shallow league, if Blake Corum's floating out there, don't let him float out there. The last thing you want to have happen is for him to end up on some other team and then taking you the next couple weeks to win a championship.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They went all in with the Sauce Gardner trade, right? All in. Give you a couple of number one picks here. Then Daniel Jones breaks the leg, and then he tears the Achilles. All right, you're signing Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? I mean, by the way, you know what hasn't been talked about enough? Sam Ehlinger decided he didn't want to come play for the Colts. Why? You would have been. I know Denver activated him to the roster anyway, but he would have been maybe a starting quarterback this weekend.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
News and notes around the NFL and its big ramifications. Don't you remember, Tom, just a few short years ago, it's like, hey, man, Tua's a better quarterback than Herbert. What a big, conundrum. Should he have taken this quarterback or the other one? Now it's starting to play itself out where you're watching a quarterback, and I can't fault Tua at this point, but sometimes it still amazes me. Like when Tua came out of college, somewhat mobile, very accurate arm, he can be a system quarterback and you move forward. And now it's like, okay, he's injured all the time. He's one concussion away from probably not playing again. He can't move in the pocket, which is astounding. Like he's Phillip Rivers back there, it feels like. And he has no arm strength. And now he's on the bench with $50 million a year as a quarterback. And he's going to be your emergency third-string quarterback, Tom. Tough scene.
Absolutely terrible, really, just for the entire organization. Bad pick. You think things would start off, or the way they should start off, I should say, Donnie, is you think he'd at least be a league average quarterback, if not slightly above it, pushing towards the top 12. Okay, we may have to surround him with good pieces, but this is a quarterback we can win with. We have a good system, we have good this, we have good that, and we can win with him as quarterback. Like, he may not be a game changer by himself, but as long as the pieces around him are solid, then you'll be in a good spot. And really, it's none of those things. And we saw glimpses of it when the offense was out there scoring 50, 60, 70 points a couple years ago against the Broncos, and they can run the ball, they can throw the ball. But as soon as, there's one crack in the dam, everything flips to the other side, and it's terrible. He's not getting the ball downfield. It's not proper play calling. He's not being utilized properly, at least in my estimation. And then the arm strength is the biggest issue for me, is that he can't get the ball to the receivers as he once did. And that's really what it comes down to. The offense changed so much from when it started so hot, and now it is completely different, and yet the pieces are the same.
Yeah, one of those teams, Tom, that a couple years ago you thought they were the evolution of the NFL and how much fun the Dolphins would be making the playoffs. They can't do it anymore. And also, case in point, Monday Night Football, McDaniel took the kickoff. Couple plays looked really good. 1st and 10 on the 40-yard line for the Steelers going in to take momentum. A lame duck deep out that gets intercepted. Like, here we go again. And that's why he's on the bench, because performances like that on Monday night. But it threw 2 touchdown passes. Yeah, he threw them late in junk time. Congratulations, you're on the bench. And by the way, here's McDaniel talking about the benching as well.
I think, there's, I said it before, but ultimately the team needs, and I'm looking for conviction in quarterback play, and understanding that he is a rookie. I felt that he would play the position most convicted, which is, which impacts every player on the field, realistically, that's what I was looking for. I needed more convicted play from the quarterback position. I thought Quinn could deliver on that best.
Hey, maybe Quinn can throw some deep balls out there. We'll certainly find out. And also the Miami Dolphins looking to get younger, even on defense. Matthew Judon was released, and that's a bad pass rush as it is. I don't know if they're in tank mode, but they're in evaluation mode now for the Dolphins.
They really are, and credit to any team that may pick him up. That could be a boost to them heading towards the playoffs. And yes, Judon isn't the same player that he once was, but if you put him in a rotation along an already strong unit on the defensive side of things, that's where he can make an impact, not having to play 100% of snaps. And to your point with the Dolphins, to see more teams let go of veterans as the season goes on and as they're officially limited, I think has become a growing trend. And there's no pass rusher. This actually may be a game for Burrow to finally put up a huge performance since he's been back, obviously outside of that Thursday night Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, no frigid conditions. You'll be in Miami at this point. Take a look at Jeremiah Love. He's going to the NFL, rightfully so. One of the best backs we've seen over the past couple of years. Going to make it big in the NFL, Tom.
Yeah, this is the time of the season where players are going to be opting for the NFL draft. They're going to be opting out of bowl games, or entire teams are going to be opting out of bowl games, as is the case with Notre Dame. But I think it'll make an impact. Obviously, it comes down to where he's drafted, as we always see once April, May roll around. Oh, they're drafting running backs too high. Drafting running backs high is fine if you have the pieces around him, namely an offensive line, to see him succeed, unlike Ashton Jeanty. So I think he will be a very good NFL player, and I think he'll land in a good spot.
Social media, Tom, sometimes athletes, you just stay off it and you don't get yourself caught up in the limelight. Because one thing the NFL doesn't want you to do is criticize the referees as acting like they only call penalties because they want to get on TV. Come on, Puka, you got a big game tonight. Focus, kid, focus.
Yeah, this is not the time to be making that type of comment. A, right before a game, or B, in the middle of the season. Any slight thing, Puka, is it going to be personal foul, roughing, whatever it might be? refs are going to have their eye on Puka tonight and moving forward.
We got a Green Bay wide receiver we're going to talk about in the next segment, but more importantly, the Chicago Bears trying to get leverage on the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. Find out what they are trying to do, Tom. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Football Thursday, baby. Come on.
Interesting to see in that Big 12. We keep talking about it. With Houston, with Iowa State, with Kansas, with BYU. They're going to be battle tested, but so is the rest of that league. And man, that is going to be fun to watch.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
If I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid. This season is about coming together, sharing moments,
We're going to go with the over tonight.
and celebrating what connects us. It's lighting the candles, gathering like a team, and finding joy in every night. 8 nights of tradition, 8 nights of celebration, 8 chances to shine. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
How about the Green Bay Packers? You go on the road last week, tough environment. Not only do you lose the game, you lose Micah Parsons, who it looked like Christian Watson was going to be down with maybe a collarbone injury or something wrong with his shoulder and not available for the remaining parts of the season. Well, you still lost Micah Parsons with that ACL, and that's going to be damaging come playoff time. But Christian Watson, looks like he's going to give it a go this weekend against the Chicago Bears. That is massive news. And by the way, Tom, you know as well as I do, since coming back from that injury, he's been one of the better wide receivers in football. They need him to be healthy and producing. And looks like he's going to be back this weekend for a monster football game.
Yeah, like you said, not just, one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's downright their best receiver right now.
Yeah.
And they absolutely need him. And this is a massive game when it comes to the NFC North and really the NFC playoff picture overall. So losing Parsons, yes, massive deal for their defense. But not having Watson out there, I'm not going to say it's going to be a bigger impact, but it would change how we view their offense overall because Reed is just coming back from an injury. We're not getting enough out of the rookie, Matthew Golden. We know that Kraft is done for the season. Josh Jacobs is solid, but he's still been a little bit banged up. So Watson is a vital piece to that offense. So now having a full complement of tools, Love should be able to move the ball. And frankly, Donnie, they're going to have to try to outscore teams now. I'm not sure if they have enough pieces on defense that they can just try and shut down teams and hold them to 13 points. I think they need to put pedal to the metal and say, we can score 28 or 30 points on offense and try and keep up with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out because the Packers aren't dead. Of course, they lost their best pass rusher, one of the best in the NFL, but we'll see how they can rebound. Big game against the Bears, as we pointed out. Now, talking about those Chicago Bears, negotiations are everything. And usually an NFL football team gets exactly what they want, whenever they want, and wherever they want. But if anybody knows anything about Chicago politics, it doesn't work that way. You got to grease the skids every way. And if you feel you're not getting the best deal, you start to look elsewhere. What are we talking about, Tom? Oh, it's the Chicago Bears' new stadium, who, by the way, renovated, and basically have a brand new stadium at Soldier Field. It's not the city of Chicago's fault that they built a terrible stadium, which is too tiny for their marketplace. Maybe they should have some visions of, let's build not a tin can spaceship on the lake and add a little bit more seats. So they're looking elsewhere here. So they stay there and renovate that stadium again on the same site, or they move out to Arlington Heights, which has a little bit more land, which the Chicago Bears bought. But understand this. When you're still trying to look for the city to kick in money in the state, if it's not going your way, you look elsewhere. Usually it's in like a suburb, maybe north of Chicago or west of it, to move it out of the city. They're talking about, Tom, moving it out of the state into Indiana. Now, understand this. Wait, Illinois, Chicago to Indiana, it's actually not all that far when you turn it to it because, hey, look at Notre Dame, it's in the middle of nowhere. No, it's not. It's actually in relative distance to Chicago. They're looking to now negotiate with Indiana, who would roll out the red carpet to get that stadium time. What do you think about the Bears, maybe called like the Gary, Indiana, Chicago Bears? How about that?
I see this as simply just a negotiating tactic, to your point, of like they just want to move to Arlington Heights, and that's where it should be. In my mind, that's where it should be. A brand new complex, what we see teams do, like, Jerry World, it's not just a stadium. It's a whole surrounding area with all the attractions, the shops, the restaurants, all those sorts of things. That's what the team should be looking to do, and Arlington Heights is the right venue, and I believe that's where they will end up. It's not going to be easy. This is just a negotiating tactic. They'll get the money, and the sides will finally meet in the middle. But moving them out of the state is the wrong answer for the franchise. They're just doing this because they have to do this. They have to tip the scales in their favor for the city and the state of Illinois to finally give in.
And they will, because Indiana will take it seriously, if not just to say, hey, you know what, we're going to one-up you and give you a boatload and just force Chicago to pay more. Than in the state of Indiana will laugh at that. Like we talk about in Philadelphia sports, Tom, which I am. Like you can sit in the link in the top row and throw a snowball and hit New Jersey. So every time new stadiums come up or arenas like the Sixers do, they go, we'll move right across the river to New Jersey. And Philadelphia goes, how much do you want? How much do you need at this point? Even like the Philadelphia 76ers practice facility, which was always in the city, actually did move to New Jersey and got them upset. So now their next negotiation with the new arena was, we'll just go to Jersey. Whoa, you're actually real and you'll call our bluff. We'll lay out the red carpet. Whatever you need to keep these arenas in Philadelphia, we'll do for you there. Now, we got a big-time game tonight, Tom, in the NFC West. It's the Rams. It's the Seahawks. Get a look at this. The Rams were the favorite all week long up until yesterday as a favorite between 1 and 1.5. Completely swung around. Seattle now the favorite at home at -1.5. Those early numbers, Tom, the 46.5 on the total, they are gone. It's 42.5. Why? We have wind and some rain in the forecast and sustained winds, Tom, around 20 miles per hour. Devontae Adams will not play tonight, so it is all on Puka, who now the refs are like, you want to say we call flags, just call flags? No flags for you, pal, and pass interferences. How do we feel about that line swing now over to the Seahawks?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Short week, weather issues, a team at home that plays in the weather, dealing with a dome team going into weather. There's so much going on in this game. And, to your point with Devontae Adams not expected to play due to the hamstring issue from last week, we always talk about this, Donnie. This is when Puka's actually the toughest to trust. You think, just throw the ball to Puka. But because of the wind, that's going to be an extreme impact tonight. But the Seattle defense is just going to roll coverage over to Puka. So I see this as a ground game mainly for the Rams. I think this is a very, very tough spot to bet into at a 42.5, knowing how much the total has dropped. And I understand why Seattle's the favorite. I don't love them in this spot. I would simply take the points if this were reversed. If Seattle was getting 1.5 or 2 points on the road in a divisional matchup, I may look to back Seattle at that point. But my goodness, this line total, the total dropping so much is the most concerning thing.
I'll tell you what's so much fun about this, too, because both of these defenses are really, really good. But Witherspoon, according to Pro Football Focus, the number one ranked cornerback. Do you know the number one wide receiver in Pro Football Focus's rankings are? It's Puka Nacua. Like, this has some really, really good things shaping up. But also, Tom, indicative of that low 40s price point. If you play this game in Los Angeles, maybe that price point's higher because you don't have to worry about it. But last time we saw these two teams play, like Sam Darnold was terrible. But, Tom, do you remember? They still almost won that football game, despite how bad he was. I want to talk about this angle as well, because I've been trying to figure out what we're going to get from Darnold. Remember last year, everything was, look at the Vikings, and Darnold's going to be their future quarterback until he wasn't. When the pressure really ramped up, he couldn't perform. That game against Detroit, bad. That game against the Rams, bad. He needs this for his psyche tonight, Tom, and maybe it's all on Darnold's shoulders tonight.
I would say the same thing. Like maybe McVay and the Rams just know something about Sam Darnold that no one else does.
Yeah.
In the playoffs last year when they were in Arizona, if we remember correctly, they had to play that game at the Cardinal Stadium. And then a couple of weeks ago when Darnold threw the 4 picks, they know something about Sam Darnold that other teams don't, and they can get after him. So, yes, Sam Darnold does need this just for his mental and his psyche to be on the right side of things. But again, with the weather, I'm not sure that this is the spot that he's actually going to be able to get it done. So no matter how much he wants to, this is not a 275, 3-touchdown type of performance day because he can't do that because of the weather. So as long as he doesn't make mistakes, I think that's a win for him. So even if he has to throw for just 200 yards, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, and then it's a ground game, as long as he does not make mistakes, that's a win for Seattle. That's what they need at the end of the day.
Tom, maybe my favorite double up we're going to have the season here in touchdown props if we do it from either team side. You know me. I love myself some wide receivers, but that's not where I'm going in this game. If I take a look at Seattle and give me 2, Tom, Charbonnet and Walker, both plus 185 price points here. If we flip it over to the Rams in weather conditions, Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, plus 125 and 3-1 at this point now. You got to be like, if I look at this game plays out, and still it's 42, so the correlation would be, let's just say 5 touchdowns almost at this point. I think I can get a touchdown rushing from either side and both of those guys to get in. I love it. I think it's so much fun tonight. Where would you go touchdown props for some looks?
I love that look as well. And, I talked about Blake Corum earlier in the week where, Frank, he's just seeing more of the ball. This is not an 80-20 split in the backfield for the Rams. It's actually becoming closer. And oftentimes we see the backup running back on Thursday games, especially divisional games. This is where we see them shift towards that secondary running back more and more often. And then and that is compounded by the fact that A, there's weather, and then B, Devontae is out tonight. This actually could be a huge running game for all 4 running backs, and maybe 3 of the 4 score tonight.
I love it, man. It's a fun game to watch. It has the line movement that you look for here. It's weather conditions, but also sometimes, Tom, on these standalone Thursday night football games, it's 2 teams out of the playoffs this late in the season. This is going to be for supremacy. You can argue, Tom, the winner of this football game will be the #1 overall seed in the NFC. So much on the line. We'll just get started today. Hang on. We'll be back after this short break with more hot topics on the way.
Interesting to see in that Big 12. We keep talking about it. With Houston, with Iowa State, with Kansas, with BYU. They're going to be battle tested, but so is the rest of that league. And man, that is going to be fun to watch.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
If I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid. This season is about coming together, sharing moments.
We're going to go with the over tonight.
And celebrating what connects us. It's lighting the candles, gathering like a team, and finding joy in every night. 8 nights of tradition, 8 nights of celebration, 8 chances to shine. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Oh, let's get it popping here. Let's talk some NBA action and sometimes more fun off the court, Tom Vecchio, than actually on the court. The Los Angeles Clippers had high expectations this year. Hey, man, beautiful new arena. Let's see if we can win an NBA championship. We got the veteran players that we need until it's the veteran players that we don't want. We're talking about Chris Paul, who was on a road trip that got sent home early, supposed to be in his retirement tour season, only making a couple $1 million. They couldn't deal with it. And maybe it lingers from, hey, man, I'm trying to come here to be a veteran presence in the locker room when everybody's already a veteran. Let's have a Halloween holiday party. I'm going to throw it, cater it, everybody show up. Didn't seem like anybody showed up here. Remember Bo Callahan? Nobody showed up to his birthday party. That was a big deal if you want to get drafted into the NFL. Now we find ourselves with Chris Paul, holidays. Nobody wants to show up. Tough look for the Clippers here, isn't it?
I would say it is. And, to me, this has just been a franchise that's never lived up to expectations. Obviously, once they got on the right track of things, they've never lived up to any expectations. They've always had issues. They've always had controversies. I see this as just a sign of the team and the culture overall. And I know that Steve Ballmer wants to say, like, oh, they're the future of the NBA. They have this new arena that you alluded to, but something feels wrong about the franchise, that they're just never going to actually be as good as they think that they are. And they should just sell off the pieces. The Kawhi experiment didn't work. The Paul George experiment didn't work. James Harden experiment didn't work. None of these things worked, and they just need a clean reset to get rid of all these contracts and then just build from the ground up, because none of this is working.
Yeah, it's almost like the minute they got Kawhi, they sort of ended the restart. When factoring, you're probably thinking like, ooh, that's a big boon here. Everybody's going to want to play in L.A. You got the new arena. You have everything at your fingertips here. And Ballmer will give you – you want a new plane, he'll give it to you. You want more comfortable seats, he'll give it to you. You want the most interactive arena you could possibly get and comfortability for the players, you got it. And it still hasn't amounted to anything here in the way of trying to win championships. How about winning championships, Tom? The New York Knicks say, yeah, the NBA Cup was awesome. We respect it. So much fun. We played hard, and they did. We're just not raising a banner because that's not a real championship title, which I agree. And also understand this, Tom. Like, I don't like contrived things in sports. Why I hate bowl games. It means nothing, absolutely nothing. The NBA Cup, if you didn't play it as if you wanted the NBA to be so serious, it would probably be accepted more. Like, yeah, we just won the cup. That's great. We got a trophy. We got $500,000. We celebrate in Vegas and move forward. The fact that they tried to put it on as that's an actual title and said, you know what, be a good partner, Lakers, and hang this. Same thing with you, Milwaukee. The Knicks sort of stunted that and like, yeah, it's fun. We played hard and we won it. And we love it. But come on now. This is an NBA Cup in December. We won a championship. You won a championship. That's when you hang a banner, Tom.
Yeah, to your point, allowing things to happen naturally and see where the players want to give effort and where the teams want to give effort, that's where the team and the league should be doubling down on and allow it to happen naturally. Forcing teams to do this or do that and have to participate in this, that's where things are forced. That's where they don't want to, expend too much effort. They don't want players to get hurt for something that's meaningless when it's all said and done. So as long as the natural competitiveness is there for the teams and the franchises, that's what the league should be leaning into, in my opinion. Don't force things on a team and say, like, oh, you have to be participating in something.
Like also at the NBA Cup, if we would have just watched a standalone game between the Knicks and the Spurs, we would have enjoyed it just fine here. Just didn't have anything stupid extra on the line. And the understanding of this, which I get a kick out of too, is, hey, look how much money the players get. What do the fans care about that? Did you get, if you're a Knicks fan, did you get really excited? Like, oh my God, Cat. Hey, Cat, you got an extra $500,000. Oh, Mom, Cat's got an extra $500,000. Stop it, man. Like, you know what would be even better? If you said, you know what, the arena, we're going to pack it. And every 5 minutes, we're going to give a fan in the stand $5,000 cash instead of extra money to the players on the court. Then the fans can buy into it, Tom.
Right. Because if the reward is that players are being paid more, it's that the underlying thing is implying that the players, there's no motivation for the players to play normal games. Therefore, we have to incentivize them for money. And sure, Cat and Brunson and some of these players don't need an extra $500,000 for other players that can make an impact. But the money shouldn't be the incentive for the players. That's like telling the fans, that's saying like, oh, we want the players to try more, so therefore we're paying them because that's the only thing that we can do. That's not a good look.
Yeah, the guy sitting in his basement at home, right? You ever watch Wedding Crashers? Mom, the meatloaf. I won't include the expletive there, but you get the point at this. Come on, the fans don't care about you making extra money. It's just the way it is. Adam Silver goes, expansion, it's on the way. And by the way, Tom, myself and Joe Ranieri, we always talk like calcium predictive markets. Just a few short weeks ago, you had a pretty good price on will the NBA expand by 2030? Oh, it's definitely happening here. Let's take a look at Adam Silver and what he thinks.
I'd say in terms of domestic expansion, that is something we're continuing to look at. Not a secret, we're looking at this market in Las Vegas. We are looking at Seattle. We've looked at other markets as well. I'd say I want to be sensitive there about this notion that we're somehow teasing these markets, because I know we've been talking about it for a while. As I've said before, domestic expansion as opposed to doing a new league in Europe is selling equity in this current league. If you own 1/30th this league, now you own 1/32nd if you had two teams. So it's a much more difficult economic analysis. In many ways, it requires predicting the future. At the same time, I think Seattle and Las Vegas are two incredible cities. Obviously, we had a team in Seattle that had great success. We have a WNBA team here in Las Vegas and the Aces. We've been playing the Summer League here for 20 years. We're playing our Cup games here, so we're very familiar with this market. I don't have any doubt that Las Vegas, despite all the other major league teams that are here now, the other entertainment properties, that this city could support an NBA team. I think now we're in a process of, working with our teams and gauging the level of interest and having a better understanding of what the economics would be on the ground for those particular teams and what a pro forma would look like for them. And then, sometime in 2026, we'll make a determination.
By the way, Tom, talking about expansion, it is going to happen. Also understand this. Typically, expansion comes to a city. It's like we don't have an NBA arena just ready yet. You have an NBA arena in Las Vegas, and you also have one in Seattle that could be moved in right away, too. So both of those cities probably going to get franchises, Tom.
They probably will, and to your point, they don't need to have a massive investment where the Seattle Kraken play. They have plenty of arenas in Vegas. There's multiple arenas in Vegas, really, to choose from when it's all said and done. My issue is that the talent pool for these teams is going to be diluted. There's enough teams that are non-competitive in the NBA, and then stretching that talent pool further will make even more teams non-competitive. It'll add parity to the middle group of teams, but I just don't like that overall.
No, it's a good point you bring up, because in the NFL, hey, let's get expansion, more football teams, more games. We don't have enough to play quarterback for the majority league as it is. Good luck with that. Maybe the NBA might have that issue as well. More hot topics on the way. Bowl season, people.
I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Michael Jordan retired at the age of 30 in 1993. He missed the 93-94 season. Furthermore, he came back for 17 games in 1995 when he gave up baseball. And when I mean gave up baseball, he gave up baseball on March 18th and came back to basketball March 19th, which means no ramp up, no training camp, no nothing.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
saying
these
I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
anymore. They told me. I told them to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's amazing. They do. Well, somebody's got money.
In this economy,
they have money. I don't know. See what Kalshi says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I see the Lions making it when it's all said and done. I talked to Brady Cannon about this. We were doing our show on Sunday night. I think the Bears are just a season early. I think they're a year early in their development. They are winning games, and they still have a negative point differential. The turnovers are keeping them afloat. That's just not sustainable when it's all said and done. Ben Johnson has done a fantastic job. Next year will be the year they truly take a lead.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Tom Vecchio, Donnie right side here, Thursday morning right here on the Early Line, the Sports Grid Network. Getting you set for your Sports Grid day. More importantly, what a weekend we are going to have. Now, Tom, we always like to start bowl season. Like, I'm close to 50 years old at this point. When I grew up, bowl season was a big deal. And sometimes you get jaded with some things you love and some things those loves slip away. Bowl season has really slipped away from me at this point because now you have the NIL, and as Tom pointed out early on, we got a football team playing in a bowl game tomorrow night that hasn't had a win since October. What reward are you sending to these teams in order to get to the bowls? But now we got the Xbox Bowl coming up, Tom, tonight, 9 p.m., Missouri State, Arkansas State. Boy, I wonder how that does in the ratings war against the NFC West game tonight with all the marbles on the line. But we do have a favorite, which is actually Missouri State now. The opening lines, Tom, had Arkansas State as a favorite, and a total that opened up at 56.5, now sits at 54.5. The question is, how many Xbox are going to be handed out to the players tonight? But more importantly, do we get scoring? Do we like a side here, Tom? Do you like anything?
I would say, first off, for bowl season, to your point, is make sure all the players are going to be playing, at least on the team that you're going to be betting on. But for me, I would say points. Points are probably coming. Looking at Missouri State, some of their recent performances, giving up 40 points is terrible. But if you can get out there and you're putting up 30 of your own, now we're actually in a spot that we could see some scoring. So I don't mind leaning towards Arkansas State in this spot, but I think points are coming first and foremost. That's where I would go, if anywhere.
And by the way, when you take a look at like some things and how it plays out, I get the kids will be excited. But if we have a top 25, right, and most of those teams are already included in the college football playoff, maybe there's a couple, 3-4 games left over that you can make it happen. But Arkansas State, Missouri, like, what are we doing? And that's not a bowl game. That should be played at a high school field without any television and just for family and friends to watch their sons, daughters, or whoever coach play and, cheerlead and have some fun with it. We don't need this on TV, which then gets us here to the 19th, Tom, which is tomorrow. Kennesaw State and Western Michigan. Now, Joe Ranieri loves himself some Kennesaw State. I think the guy's like 30-0 this year betting with them. They're an underdog in this game, but getting a little bit of the money, Tom. 3.5 is now a favor for Western Michigan, the champions of the MAC, taking on Kennesaw 47.5. 99% of the people watching this program, Tom, didn't know Kennesaw State was a football team or even where that college even is at this point. Any thoughts tonight, Kennesaw State and Western Michigan?
I mean, if I'm filling in for Joe Ranieri, and he's had so much success betting on Kennesaw State, getting the 3 in the hook, I think, is the right side to be on. We're not dealing with a massive total when it's all said and done, but if it's not working for Western Michigan at this point, you might as well just continue to roll with Kennesaw State. Take them and take the under. If they're going to win, they're probably going to do their part on defense, and Western Michigan is not going to be scoring.
By the way, in the future, Tom, right? Like, are we headed for it? Like, I know the bowl games are a scam because the only people that make money are like the bowl committees themselves. Like, you hear it so many times, like, hey, Memphis is going to a bowl against NC State. Hey, it's great for us in our organization, but it's going to cost us $3 million in travel and tickets and all that stuff. It's a net loss for 90% of these teams, unless you're playing in the Rose Bowl or the college football playoff or, let's just say, a New Year's Day bowl. Memphis and NC State, we already talked about them here. 4.5-point favorite for NC State. Memphis 57.5 NC State total as it sits here. One team hasn't won a game since October. Like, if these games go away, would you be upset? Because outside of degenerate bettors at this point, and yes, if you have a wager on it, it makes the game so much more enjoyable. But these games mean absolutely nothing, and I can't stand them anymore, Tom. I want the expanded college football playoff, and I don't ever want to hear about bowl games again after this year.
Yeah, I would say expand the college football playoffs. I want to see just more teams in it. It will just bring us more action, and it's more action of the highest quality. That's what we're really after. We want the best quality teams, and if that means adding around, giving a few more teams buys, whatever it might be, I'm on board for that. I'm leaning NC State in this one. I'm not going to say I'm biased because the last time I bet on Memphis, they lost outright to Navy on Thanksgiving when Brady Cannon and I were doing in-game live for that. So maybe I'm just biased against Memphis. But again, Memphis hasn't won a game since October 31st, Donnie. They're gone over a month and a half without winning a game. Give me NC State in this one. I think they win this one going away.
How about this one? Washington State, Utah State. This game's going to be played on the 22nd at 2 p.m. Washington State got thrown out of their own conference and said, you just hang out on the side. Hey, let's give them a bowl game here against Utah State. 2.5-point favorite, 50.5 total. This game will be played, I'm assuming, so today's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, is it? Hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. So 19th is Friday. 20th is Saturday. Oh, okay. So Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock, Washington State, Utah State. Tom, give me a breakdown, please.
First off, having this game named the famous Idaho Potato Bowl and not having
is this on the blue
Idaho
turf?
team. But not having a team from Idaho in the Idaho Potato Bowl, that's a mistake overall. So they need to have one. That's one. Give me points in this game. Points.
There you go. Give them the points here. And by the way, you're right. Like Hawaii always plays the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. Why can't Boise State play in this one? Who cares? Hour number 2's up next.